Hello and welcome to the Atomic Call Show. I am Wild Chevy. I'm joined by my buddy Casey, and this show is what we're going to talk about everything in tabletop hobby world. So first, let's start off. Casey, what have you done this week before we jump into our little build day?
Yeah, so anticipating another build night, I really want this time instead of doing some Infinity models, I wanted to get my terrain wrapped up. So I've got some MDF terrain here. It's made by a company called Underground Lasers. So I'm going to be assembling a couple of buildings that they like to call the Isolation Chamber Mark One. So I've got a red building and a yellow building. I'll be putting together. As you can see, everything has been pre-painted. So I'm just gonna go to town with a little bit of PVA glue. What about you, Alan? What are you building tonight?
I am getting prepped for the LVO, and that always it's only what, 6 months out, but still
Mm-hmm.
you have to get ready. So I'm building a pretty, hopefully pretty list. So as you can see, I've got 15 Death Company here, and
Yes, you do.
I'm going to be allying with the Scions. So I'm going to be building up a Valkyrie tonight
Oh wow, we're gonna get to see a Valkyrie build. I've never seen one of those come together.
because you usually shoot them down.
Actually, I've found that the best way to deal with those is just to ignore them. They're hard enough to kill that it's not even worth my time to bother.
Let them shoot themselves down.
Just the dangerous thing is what's inside of them. Now, I mean, don't get me wrong; they put out a ferocious amount of damage, but it's the troops that it can drop, which is a little more worrisome. So, all right, well, so you got the email from Mr. Chris Birch over at Modifius.
Yes, that's the big. I mean, there has been much going on this week. And here in America, it's Labor Day weekend, so most everybody's out of town. But yes, we did hear that the Infinity Kickstarter will be launching this week.
Yeah, he's given us a little bit of some previews on what we can expect from
Yeah,
the Kickstarter.
they had a survey out a few weeks ago, just to kind of say, hey, what would you be interested in buying? How much money can we get from you, type of thing. And
So, realistically, how much do you think that you would sink into this Kickstarter?
well, the key thing to look at is it's on pounds. So if you are thinking it's American money, American dollars, you're going to be hurting your wallet a lot more than you expect.
Sorry, I'm just gotta hammer these pieces into place. So,
Casey builds like his daughter.
hey, when you're a hammer, everything looks like a nail. No, it's. Let me get this in here real quick and. Oh, okay. Jeez, Lapete's. Oh, I might have to go out in the garage and get a hammer for this sucker.
Well, now we know what the household nights are at the Rocket Yeti house.
You know, I'm not even gonna. Man, like, no joke. I'm gonna need a rubber mallet for these things.
What it is you painted it.
Oh no, unfortunately it's not that.
No?
No, so I'm okay, I promise. All right. You want to get me the rubber mallet out of the garage? There we go. Sorry, it's just these things are kind of a pain to come together. So I'll try and keep it down. Yeah, we're just building and talking tonight. So that's my wife, Natalie.
Hi, wife Natalie.
So I'll show you what they do here. It's kind of neat. So you can see this groove right here, which the other piece will slot into, like so. But then you also see this little notch here, this little hole. That's where you may or may not be able to see it. There's a little indent here on this groove, and so there's a little indent or a little hump there that will fit into this hole. And the idea is behind it that you can put things together without actually having to use glue. But it means that things are like a crazy tight fit.
So if you paint it all, you've taken away that tolerance.
Oh, I put one of these these little TIE fighter wings here in the middle. I put these on pre-paint, and it was no better.
Now, would you suggest sanding these pieces beforehand?
Yeah. Honestly, you just expect to use a little bit of force to put it together. Is just kind of where I'm at.
Well, for you there at home, I would suggest, instead of going out with a rubber mallet, test fit all your pieces, and a little bit of sandpaper helps out things a great bit.
Yeah, but I like to keep the close tolerance on these pieces, so that's why I'm not using the sandpaper. Yeah. So, anyways, back to the Kickstarter. We know that it's going to be in pounds because obviously Modifius is a British company.
Yeah, there's one level I really want. It's the Bostria level. That's gonna, if it's gonna stay the same price, it's gonna be £200. But you will get your name and face immortalized as one of the characters.
Yeah, I have a feeling that those are going to go relatively quickly.
You say nerds and money are two things?
They are soon parted. No, it's one of those things where that's going to be. Oh, excuse me. That's going to be one of those things that I think a lot of people are going to have a hard time passing by. Just because, you're not just in the fluff for the RPG, you're in the fluff for Infinity as well.
Well, I mean, we've already seen community members immortalized. Constantinos is Tyrefo's character.
Yes, indeed, he is.
And a few others.
Yeah, so I think I don't think that they will have any trouble meeting their Kickstarter goals. Okay, so, but would you really drop the money for the Bostria level pledge?
It'd be amazing. If I could get it, it'd be great. Yeah, the thing is, with Kickstarter, it's always great to have all those extras. So
yes.
You definitely want to get. I've been in some Kickstarters where the levels were pricey, but you didn't get all the extras because they had broken down differently for the higher ends.
Yeah, I think the level that I'm looking at is probably just going to be the PDF level. Having a physical book, it would be nice, but at the same time, I know myself well enough. I'm not going to play this I'm not really into RPGs all that much, and while I would like to get into them more than I am, um, I'm afraid of this. If I just get another book, it's just gonna spend time on the shelf. You know what I mean?
All books spend times on the shelves.
That's true. My codices spend a lot of time on the shelves.
Yeah, so do mine. Now that they're all out of date, especially my sixth ed rule book.
All right, check this out real quick. So we'll show you like a quick mid-build status here. So as I said before, this is the isolation chamber Mark 1. So right here is going to be a door, and right here will be a acrylic piece. So you can see here, we've got kind of a metallic floor, and then we're going to have insets that are going to go all along, like kind of like bars over the windows.
How did you paint all that?
So this was all done by airbrush. Well, I shouldn't say all done. I started off with a white paint plus primer. It was nothing fancy. It was actually just stuff I got.
A rattle can?
Yep, just out of the rattle can. While I'm a Home Depot guy through and through, I have to say that the Valspar paint and primer, like just the cheap company stuff, like store brand stuff, works really, really well. I found on MDF. So
That's
I
good.
based.
I've heard a lot of people. Their complaint with doing MDF is that it soaks up paint very well.
It does, and it will soak this up the same as anything else. But the trick that you got to, or the thing you got to think about, is that the stuff you're putting, the primer you're putting down out of the rattle can, is really just that. It's a primer. So, like if you're priming models, you don't need to just drown your model in primer because you're going to lose details.
That's what makes it pro painted.
And so when you're priming MDF, it's the same way. You want to put enough primer on there to leave a little bit of color, but at the same time, really what you're really after is that good surface. Because a lot of the MDFs that you use for primers are really, really smooth. So if you can just get that paint plus primer on there, just enough to give it a little bit of color and create that good surface for your follow-on paints, that's all you need. So really almost just like a light dusting of it. And you'll see it get absorbed. Don't freak out about it because you're going to be putting more paints on top of it. So this was just a paint plus primer on all the different pieces. The metal pieces or the metallic pieces like the roof here, I primed those black. All the red colored pieces or the yellow colored pieces that I'll get to in a little bit were primed white. And then after that, I actually used secret weapon washes. Well, the metallic pieces, we'll start with those because those are easy. That was just GW silver, mithril silver, or runefang silver is their new color one. I just thinned that way, way down and sprayed that out over a black primer. It's a little different look than what you would get if you applied it by brush, but at the same time, I think it looks really nice. It gives it kind of like a dirty, grungy kind of feel. And then for these color pieces, so for the red, I used secret weapon washes. What I did first of all was with an airbrush. I went along the darkened areas with secret weapons green wash. Just kind of sprayed that on the lower parts, into the corners, kind of where you'd expect shadows to lie. With a green wash, and I gotta tell you, it's really freaky putting a green wash on. Like
That's a
I know
color
it's
theory.
the color green.
That's color theory. All right there. Contrast colors.
I know. I know that there's like science behind it, but when you're spraying green on something that's going to be red, it's just a little tough to swallow. Uh, so then after letting that dry, then just over the top of it, I applied Secret Weapon wash called Just Red. So it goes on. You can get it to go at about 20 psi, which is fine when you're doing the shading. But you need to put a lot of this red color on, to get a nice solid red going. And so I bump it up to about 30 psi and just kind of increase my standoff distance a bit, and just kind of let the paint fly. And it'll take you a good three coats or so. I mean, the nice thing is because you're putting a wash down through an airbrush, it dries almost instantly. So by the time you finish one side, the next side's ready to go. And that's all there is to it. These yellow pieces, it was the same technique, but for the shade, I used Secret Weapon Flesh Wash. I finally found something that I like the Flesh Wash for.
Yeah,
And
it's
then the yellow,
very orangey.
yep. And then the yellow is it's called Sunshine Wash. So
Well, now
that's like their
you can paint
yellow.
Imperial Fist.
You know what? I have never wanted to paint Imperial Fist until I started doing this. I'm like, this yellow looks pretty good, man.
Yellow is very a tricky color to work with.
Yeah, not this way. This way is like stupidly easy.
Yeah, well, that's on a big flat surface. Wait till you do it on a miniature.
Yeah, not too worried about it.
I mean, that's my attempt at yellow. And it's very... It was an interesting experiment.
I'll be honest. I think like when it comes to reds and to yellows, I think people overthink it a lot.
Well, it's because they're a bright color, and then there's transparency in the layers.
I know, but I think that we overthink it sometimes. Like,
oh, you have to. It's like with everything; it takes practice.
if you're gonna go with yellow, and the way I've done with brushes, I'll put down like a snake bite brown 1st, and you just kind of build up from there.
Yeah, well, that's because
and you can do it in just like several layers, and it's not.
But that's because that's a snake bite is a yellowish brown. Doing yellow over black takes forever because it's going through. You have to build up over that color.
Sure, but why would you ever do it over black?
It's your preference. That's why you see people prime black, people prime white, some people prime zenithal. It's all player's choice.
Yes, I get that. I'm just saying that there are easier ways and more difficult ways to do it. And if you're going to paint a whole army up, why do it the difficult way? Man. Okay, so here's like the little inserts that I told you about. But these things are like crazy tight tolerance, and I'm starting to beat up the paint here a little bit on it. So I think I'm going to have to come back in at some point. And maybe, I think this is actually a really good chance to maybe try and work some battle damage in on these, or some weathering. So, I don't know. I've been talking a lot, Alan. Tell us about what you're working on here.
Well, like I said, I've been building up for the LVO. This will be my first time going there. Your first time too?
My first time.
So yeah, we got tickets. I'm going to be in the championship for 40K, which I'm going to be facing a group of 270 people. Is that right?
That is what they're saying. Frontline Gaming, the people who are running it, have said that they have sold out all 270 tickets.
That's going to be a crazy mesh of metas. Here I am, the lone wolf, trying to figure everything out. But it means I get back into 40K and building some of the stuff that I've had lying around.
Yeah, your 40K guys have missed you, sir.
Now if I can only get my 40K guy.
Oh man, the way you roll, I understand why you don't play 40K that much.
Harsh.
I got nothing for love for you, man, but your dice, they have no love for you at all.
Tell you, dice gods are fickle. When they love you, they love you. When they hate you, you know it.
So back on Infinity, because that's kind of what I've been thinking about a lot. So would you rather be a player or a GM for this coming up?
Now, since you're our noob for RPGs,
Very
it's
much so.
with RPGs, it's very it can a good set of characters can make a dungeon master's job easy, and vice versa. A good dungeon master can work with uh, a lot of people to make their experience fun.
Mm-hmm.
And being at that, saying that means that you have to know who you're playing with. And I've done a lot of I've done some campaigns where my dungeon master just wanted to kill me, and successfully did so several times. But for this one, I think I would like to be a character.
I think it would be fun to be a GM at some point, just to kind of tell the story and come up with some interesting stories or the interesting seeds of stories, I suppose.
Well, before they, a few years ago, before they announced the RPG, I was actually going to do I had a scenario written up for a team of spec ops because when the spec op was released, so you can tailor your spec op any way you want to. You got experience points to build up to get new stuff. This team of spec ops was going to go and take back some intel from this uh, corporation tower. So I had built up a couple levels, what they had to experience on each level, how they could get through it easy way or the hard way. So it was designed. I never implemented it, but now I could write this up as a something to share with the community.
Okay, so real quick here. Uh, Here's my status update. So what's turned out is just like started as a simple red box. Now it's just some of these insets is actually turned into something that's pretty interesting looking, I think. Let me just fit the door in here real quick. I'll show that to you. So that's one of the things I like about underground lasers is they take something really simple in concept like a box, but then with just a few little trim pieces, they actually turn into something pretty interesting and pretty different looking. So So good on you, underground lasers. All right, so what? Let's talk RPG here just a little bit more here, Alan.
Okay.
What RPG character are you looking to play? Like when you hear Infinity RPG, what's the first thing you're like? Yes, I want to be a go.
I would love to be a Fide, an assassin Fide. That'd be more a rogue character for in a traditional setting. Somebody who is used to working alone, but can work in teams and gets in and does takes care of the the secret stuff that the team needs. How about yourself? Would you be Fusilier Angus?
Dude, who doesn't want to be Fusilier Angus? No, like the first time I read it, I wasn't really sure. Like at first, I was like, it might be kind of cool to be like a Deva functionary, and maybe be almost more like a diplomatic style character. But I just couldn't really get my head around that. And then it wasn't until I started looking at the USARF box that I found my calling. I think I need to be a dog face because the idea of being a big surly man who changes into a werewolf when he gets angry, I don't think I can pass that up.
See, that's where the interesting thing comes up for a DM. We both have ideas that are very dissimilar, as they both you are Eurus Ariadna, I'm Hawk Islam.
Mm-hmm.
So it's up to a DM to figure out how that would play into effect on a team balance. Why are these two people coming together? And how can that benefit the story? That's one of those things you just it's a good DM can figure that out.
I think it depends on the DM. Like, how flexible are they going to be? You can. I could see somebody saying no, it doesn't make any sense, and so you guys will all just be from Hakislam, or you can all just be from Ariadna, and you must pick from those. Um,
Our
and that
alpha rules were all no.
Yep. Or the DM could say, you know what? Sure, you guys are a brand like an Expendables branch of Kaplan Tactical Services. You know, KTS, primarily offers their services to Hawk Islam, but they're open to everybody. And for some of them are a little more deniable ops, they are starting to branch out and they're pulling in people from all sorts of different areas because they are expecting to work for all sorts of different people. So a diverse group is needed. So if you just play a group of mercenaries, it starts to make a little more sense.
Oh yeah, that's probably what it's going to be about. If you can't get people coming together as a unified force, everybody's going to be mercenaries.
Mm-hmm. Do you think it would be more interesting to play as a group of mercs or as like the Black Hand or something? So you're all just playing Hawk.
The current RPG that I'm in for War Machine, we're pretty much a group of mercenaries.
So now, even if because I am a RPG noob, and
Mm-hmm.
I freely admit that, in my mind, it seems like that's going to be what's a little more interesting. Like, okay, sure, if we're all just like working for the Black Hand, that's kind of cool. But I think you're going to get a lot more interesting group dynamics if everybody's from different places.
It's all part of the storytelling. Now, I would like for like if you're a fan of D&D or just kind of looking to see what RPG is like, uh, you can look at the PAX videos for what is it called?
Something incorporated or
Yeah, you can just Google PAX RPG, and they've got a nice set of videos of them doing a long running campaign.
What'd you do with the screen that was open?
On Geek and Sundry. Will Wheaton has his set of videos for the Fall of Volcana, which is a nice short video series.
I'm sorry.
You didn't say he was in it, right?
No.
But there are some videos out there that you can watch to just kind of see what.
Sorry. Speaking of Geek and Sundry, have you watched Titan's Grave?
Yes, Fall of Volcana.
Yeah. What'd you think of it?
Very good. What the very first video or the pilot video that they did, where they discussed everybody's character,
Mm-hmm.
is what I think every DM or every playgroup should do, because it lets your DM know what your character is or who they are, what their motivations are, and knowing those motivations helps you build up the world. I mean, if you have somebody who's afraid of clowns, and you're gonna go take a job where it's a carnival, it's gonna affect the player.
Yeah, I didn't always. Towards the end, it felt like Wheaton was just kind of like telling them a story,
That
and they were just kind of along for the ride.
that is some things that DMs can do. The original modules for D&D had a lot of storytelling in them, and it just allows you to step away, because sometimes you just can't uh, play through some things. You have to be told what's happening to you.
Mm-hmm. So there's one podcast that I listened to, and they kind of started off playing the 5th edition starter set for D&D. It's called the Adventure Zone, and it is hilarious. Uh, Done by some comedians, and they're all family, so they kind of know how to push each other's buttons and how to interact with each other. They've done a number of other podcasts as well, but that's one where it's very much like the DM, and I think he's pretty new to being a DM. He just kind of sets the stage and just kind of lets his players go, and whatever crazy hijinks they come up with is where the story goes. So, you might say he's not a very prepared DM, but it lets, I think the players are a lot more invested in what happens
Well,
versus they're just kind of walking. They're basically going on like a ride on the rails.
well, so the player, it's a balance between player and DM. I've had one night when I was playing a GURPS campaign. our DM, we were entering this village, and our main goal overall was to get to the capital. So we stopped at this village, bought some stuff to prepare our next journey, and we didn't take any jobs at the job board. And the at the fault of our DM should have said, "Hey, he could have given us a zero ultimatum where we had to take something there." But we said, "No, we're just going to continue to go on." And because he let the players override his night, he tore out a whole page out of his book and threw it away because we weren't going to go and do that. So that it was on. So it is a balance. You have to make sure that everybody everybody's pushed in the right way.
So it looks like you got the fuselage all put together there.
Yep. Got some ABDR going on.
For those of you who do not speak Air Force, that is aircraft battle damage repair.
Or duct tape.
They use beer cans too from time to time. Your tax dollars at work, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, the stories we could tell you. All right. Well, I mean, it's all part of character generation. What would you name your character, and what would his motivations be? Because it's not something you would find in a book.
See, this is a great question because this is the sort of stuff that I haven't really got into.
Well, all right. So,
as I was thinking about it, well, I'll tell you what I've got, and we'll flesh them out here. You're seeing it here first, people.
Well, okay. There's two ways to go at creating your character. One is you can create it as yourself, or you can create it as somebody you would like to be. So one is you create it as yourself, and that takes all your flaws and your strengths, or you create it as what you want to be, and you can reverse that.
Oh man, we can't use me. I'm just too perfect. No, I figure so inevitably, like when I'm playing an RPG, like in the like in a computer game or something, or like
You're
say
large,
Mass
but
Effect.
female.
Oh my gosh, I am like the biggest paragon in the world. Like I won't hurt a fly. I'm like the biggest. We all need to get along and love each other and don't fight people. We have reapers to kill, sort of guy, you know.
Nothing wrong with that.
No, nothing's wrong with that, but I'm getting a little bored with that. So I would actually want to go like maybe not like full tilt evil, but just like a bad as I want to be kind of guy. And that's why I think like a dog face was kind of appealing to me. Because I was thinking his name is Krieger. You know, kind of like a rough Russian mafioso type dog face. You know, he's a Ariada dog faces generally aren't treated too well by anyone, least of all other Ariadnans. They're kind of looked down upon. And so I was thinking it'd be kind of cool to have this guy like, you know what? Screw this. I've been kicked around since I was a pup. I don't need this crappy little planet. I'm getting out of here. You know, it's time to go see the rest of the galaxy. I'm joining a merc group. And I don't mind busting some heads to get paid. because it's what I've been doing all my life, and I'm pretty good at it. So that's kind of what I got. I don't know. Is that a little too simplistic, or
No, no. So what would your so that's your basic thing of where you want to go. Now, is there anything that left you, or what would be your motivation not to come back? No family, no.
the way? Kind of the opposite. Like I like the idea of him having a large family. Or like being somewhere in the middle of the family, and kind of like from where. So he's sympathetic to other families. And like he sees families or brothers and sisters, and he gets that family connection. But at the same time, uh, you know, so if you guys have never played Infinity or haven't read the fluff, essentially how a dog face is created is a pregnant woman is bitten by a creature called an antipode. It doesn't have an effect on the woman who's pregnant. However, it does create this dog, what they call a dog face child. And the child looks human, they're a little bigger, a little bulkier, a little more savage looking.
Harrier.
Hairier. Yeah, and that's the thing is, Krieger would definitely like, he'd be, shave his head, shave his face. He doesn't want to show off his hairiness, which then I think is completely awesome because then, every time he changes into his dog form, hair grows everywhere. Then when he changes back, then he's like, oh crap, I gotta go shave my head again.
So he's
now,
not fully accepted who he is if he's going to be shaved.
No, he doesn't like that side of it, and I can see like his brothers and sisters
a little bit
really
of
not accepting that. Yeah, the idea that maybe his brothers and sisters, or like bigger brothers, like hitting him with sticks or something to see if their little brother would change into a dog. See if they could kind of like egg the beast out of him. And so it's something that he doesn't really like to do, but at the same time, he enjoys the power that it gives him over other people.
So he would be somebody mild-mannered on the surface?
No, I don't think so. Kind of the Ariadnan way is you grow up in a rough lifestyle. So he's kind of one of those guys who's always like riding the edge. He likes he enjoys the power and the strength that he has from it, but there's kind of like that little voice in the back of his head always kind of telling him, all right, we need to reel it back just a little bit here, or we're going to go overboard. And so, and because there's kind of some of those problems with his large the unfortunate problems he's had with his larger family, maybe he doesn't want to go home because of that. He doesn't want to run into any of his family members. So he's probably a lot more comfortable with other antipodes or other dog faces than he is outcasts with his family. Yep, other outcasts. He sees. He's comfortable with the outcast, but at the same time, he sees groups and family dynamics, and he's really envious of that. Like he wants that, but he doesn't know how to get that, or even if he had it, what he would do with it.
Yeah, what kind of skills would he have?
I think it only makes sense for him to be kind of a pistol, shotgun.
No, not combat skills. Like, how would he get by with work?
He's a mercenary.
Well, all mercenaries have different traits. You don't hire somebody just because they can point a gun and shoot.
So in terms of like non-combat stuff, I actually imagine him being good with machines or maybe computers.
It's like a mechanic.
Yeah, like I know that sounds
Ariadne computer.
Yeah, maybe not computer. So maybe like he's a really good diesel mechanic. Just because I like the idea of, interacting with people gives them problems, whereas machines are just machines. Machines don't hit you with sticks. Machines don't call you names. Machines are just what they are. And he kind of likes that. It's just, machine is broken. You fix machine. There's no gooey interpersonal things that he has to mess with. So now, being Ariadne or being a Wolver, they're not known for their mechanical skills. So I'm not saying he's the greatest at it, but I'm saying he enjoys that, or he seeks that sort of thing out, even if he's not good at it.
Now, would he have had a mentor to teach him these things?
I don't see him being a great student. I would say no.
Dogface?
Dogface is, even Dogface is, I mean, maybe the Marines will be a little different. We'll have to see about that.
Well, it's all in the character generation. Not everything's written in stone.
Yeah. I don't think so. I see him being, no pun intended, the lone wolf. The things that he knows, he's had to kind of teach himself because no one was going to be there to teach him. The avenues for education that he had were, the ways of the gun and tooth and claw. And while he may have taken advantage of that, so maybe there's like a drill sergeant or something that had taken him under his wing at one point. But in terms of his mechanical skills, he's all self-taught. So here's my isolation chamber. This is pretty much the finished state of it now. The roof comes off. We've got ladders for climbing up on both sides. And look at the doors, and I'm kind of waiting on the acrylic pieces. I want to kind of matte coat these first, and then I'll put the acrylics in.
Are you going to just do what kind of glue for the acrylics?
Just regular PVA. I don't want to frost it up or anything. PVA seems to work fairly well on acrylics. I used it on the Warsenal Infinity Tiplants, and didn't even rough it up. Like it just bonds really well to the plastic. So there you go. In fact, that's kind of what I'm using right now, is just good old Elmer's glue, folks.
Yeah, I used this before. The tester stuff.
Oh, model cement?
It's wood cement. It's cement for wood and metal. It makes you see pretty colors.
So I don't know, Alan. Do I have a decent start for a character there?
I think you gotta start.
All right, so let's talk about your Fide assassin. Who is he? Does he have a name?
He's got a number.
Oh, I haven't studied the Fides or the assassins a little bit.
No, they don't have to. Oh, there's only one named Fide. That's Al Dajib. No, this one, he's fresh out of the academy. His family wanted him to be a doctor because, Hakislam, it's all about the doctors.
So he's fresh out of the academy. Has he? So let's say he's working. What brings him to this mercenary group versus working for the Black Hand or the Khanate? If we say we're in a mercenary group.
So his family was well-to-do, but they lived. Their village was. It was not. I'm going to say spice, but it's not spice. Silk. Their village was on the Silk Road, and while he was out, uh, out at his academy, his village was attacked by unknown raiders, and everybody was killed. So he dropped from being a doctor to the military side, and was found to be more apt at being an assassin. His medical skills give him a great head start at how to kill people and make it look somewhat normal.
So is he a graduate of the academy, or did he leave to go and find his own bloody way, or seek revenge on the people that?
He found information one day. Well, he befriended somebody in the information part of the school, and found out the investigation side of what happened at his village. So, being headstrong and full of pride, he left to seek justice, taking with him the tools of the trade. Not the best, because it's not it's all training gear, but
So is there a chance that he might run into other Fides that maybe he knew from the academy?
he has. If he's caught, there might be hell to pay with the academy.
So pretty good reasons for him not to ever want to go back or ever attend a reunion.
Yeah, it's a burned bridge. But if he can get justice, he
It's
won't
worth it to him.
he won't care. Yeah.
So I assume his non shooty killy role would be that as like a healer class then.
He's got the skills to be a healer. That's so he can be a healer, or when it gets to the brass tacks, he can use those skills in more nefarious ways.
Yeah, because that's the one thing I've noticed with RPGs is it seems like the good players will find like non-combat ways to solve problems.
It's very, very much you have to use your brain. The current campaign I'm in with Iron Kingdoms, we have some players who are all about the combat of everything. They just want to get into it, kill things, loot the corpses, and then build up their stuff to make it better. But then when it comes down to, okay, well, you you're in this situation here where you really can't draw your gun. So what do?
Yeah, that's one of the ideas I like about being a dog face is even without, you know, drawing any kind of weapons, he's just gonna kind of got that innate intimidating presence about him. You know, he could walk up to somebody and say, "I will eat you," and that person is thinking he might be serious. You know, because outside of Ariana, not many people have a whole lot of experience with, you know, human antipode hybrids.
And which would make our our characters would be very much the odd couple because you're very aggressive and bitey, and I could probably make a gun that's got full of tranks or viral ammo to keep you pacified if it gets a little too crazy.
Yeah, that's actually kind of like a funny idea, is, you know, is everybody in the, you know, they're like, hey, we like having Krieger on our team when bullets start flying, but you know, everybody keeps a hypodermic needle for at the end of the battle because he needs to sleep it off. Yeah, but I can see them being the odd couple, trading barbs back and forth. Like neither one is a big talker, but every time they do talk, it's kind of something pointed at the other guy. Um,
But so back to the Kickstarter, I will definitely be picking up all of the miniatures because I've got Peter syndrome.
okay, so with the RPG, it sounds like you can either play with a grid system and maps, or would you rather just play it up in the air?
That depends on your dungeon master. It's cool to put minis on a table, but then again, there's some situations where it's easier just to have everybody sitting down on a table, beer and pretzels, and just using their imagination. But when they say exclusive miniatures, I'm like, all right, that's gonna sink some of my money.
Yeah, I definitely see an advantage in being able to just keeping it off the tabletop, so to speak. Just because you could put your group together by, you know, Hangouts or Skype. If you know, if you can't get everybody in the same physical location. I don't know. Maybe that's taboo or something, but it just seems like a naturally good idea to me.
Well, I mean, life happens. Sometimes you can't get away from it all. But you can reach out and connect to people online. I mean, we're in the golden age of geek, so there's a lot of avenues for us to get our imagination on.
Here we go. Yeah, the cool thing. So here it is with the top recessed. I really like this yellow, man. This turned out nice. You can also even put like a little antenna up on top of it if you want to. So maybe turn it into like a secure building or something like that. So here's a question for you, Alan.
Yes.
Non-RPG-ish. So I've got a green piece of acrylic that's going to go over this empty window here. Should I put, all the other windows have this like little spacer insert thing. Should I put this over here, like on top of the acrylic? Or do you think that would just obstruct the cool shiny piece there?
Yeah, I would. I think it would take away from your acrylic.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking, but I was afraid I was just being lazy about it,
Spare parts mean you've done the job right.
It just means I was more efficient at building it than the designer was at designing it.
Does it show it like that in the picture on their site?
So funny story about this is one of those models that I think he only made for the Kickstarter, like as a Kickstarter reward.
Uh,
So there are not a lot of pictures of this, and only like from a single angle. So, but I'm starting to think, man, that we've put in our hour, and it's time to call it an evening, sir.
Alrighty. Well, hopefully you guys enjoyed our little chat tonight. We will be back next week, hopefully with some more information about how well this Infinity Kickstarter is. And maybe we'll have some more stuff to show off to you.
Yeah, I think I definitely think we'll have some cool information coming out here in the next week, and we'll have a lot to talk about. Some more fleshed out ideas of what the Infinity RPG is going to look like and what this Kickstarter is going to hold. So I've got all my stuff done and my glue is drying. So I think it's time to call it a night.
All right. Thank you guys for watching. Tune in next week. Like this video if you enjoyed it. Leave us a comment. Tell us what you think. If you're going to be joining the Kickstarter, let us know what pledge level you're going to be at and why. That's it for the Atomic Salt Show. I'm Wild Chevy. Casey, anything else?
Nope, just as always, if there's a cool piece of information or you've got something you'd like us to take a look at, just give us an email at theatomicsalt@gmail.com. This is the Atomic Salt, and we've just blown your mind.
Good night, folks.